'twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. His grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be as long as life endures. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Good morning. Play the song. name's Kayla because I'm fortunate enough to be Vic's granddaughter, and I'll be reading the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I want to welcome here today. We would gather today to pay our tribute of love and respect to that which is mortal of our beloved Vic. To you members of the family who mourn your loss, we offer our deep and sincere sympathy. Vic is a wonderful person. She loved people no matter who you were or where you came from. My name is Ryan, and I had the honor and privilege to spend time with the family as their chaplain over the last few weeks. At the moment I walked into the house for the first visit, I'm never really sure what to expect when I walk into the home of somebody for the first time. You can either get someone that is extremely nice and caring and really is excited you're there, or you have the other extreme where somebody really isn't happy you're there that day and they're having just a really bad day. And the first time I walked in to meet the family, you could just tell that there was love in the room, and there was tension because this was an area of their life that they probably didn't want to be at right now. There was a place that they weren't expecting to be at necessarily. They weren't ready for it. I don't know if anyone is ever ready for this journey that you go on. She was a person of great faith, and she loved her family. In talking with Vic, she shared about how much she loved her kids, how proud she was of her family coming together. First, when her and Gary were married, the blending of two families, it's not easy doing that. And they talked often about how it was amazing to see the two families coming together, the kids coming together and becoming one family. And then they talked about the love and the passion that they had. It was easy to see this when we walked in and spent time with the family. She was so proud of her family for another time, another moment when hospice became involved in their family. As the children rallied around her and the grandkids rallied in and became part of the care to relieve some of the stress and anxiety on Gary and Vic herself. It was unanimous as we shared about Vic and Gary, as they shared about their love first for each other and then the love for the kids. The love that they shared for each other was evident each and every time that I would come to visit the house. You could sense the passion that they existed between Gary and Vic. They shared about how they did everything together, traveling and running the vet clinic, working side by side together all the time. Gary would talk about how he would take care of the animals and he would deal with that side of the business, and Vic would take care of the rest of it, making sure everything was taken care of, and the money would come in, and but the people that would come into the facility that they were at were also taken care of. Gary shared with me, with all of us, a moment that really struck out to him about their marriage. There was a fire at their old house, and Gary shared about how he heard afterwards from one of the people that was working on the fire and working on the house, that he was surprised that anyone was actually able to get out of the house alive. And Gary shared with me at that moment, he said, that moment I knew that God had something better for us. There was a plan for them, a reason that they were able to get out the way they did. Gary shared that they were both fighters. They were people that worked together, fought together, and worked towards a common goal of loving each other and living together. Wherever they traveled, whatever they did, they made fast friends with anyone they came in contact with. Many stories were told over my time with the family, stories of life and love, of crashed cars, of hiding away, making sure they didn't get in trouble at various points of growing up with that many siblings and combining a family like that. It seems like, in my experience, that kind of thing is what draws families together. Vic made over 220 quilts for hospice and volunteering and taking care of people that were in need. See, that was her. That was a legacy she was creating. That was a legacy she was building in herself. And it's interesting to then see people from hospice taking care of her, being able for us to come in and build into somebody's life that have built into so many other people. It would be an understatement, I believe, for us to say that she was in control and that she was strong. I mean, everything, even till what we're doing today, was planned out by Vic. I even asked her what she wanted me to share because I was nervous that I wasn't going to share the right thing, because she had planned so many details of the service and of all of this that I wanted to make sure that what I said was in line with what she'd want to have said. She was the backbone of the family. And that it was an honor to one of the people that cared for her. As I shared, when I walked into the house for the first times, and many times after that, you felt like family. You felt like you were taken care of. Vic always made sure that you were okay. Vic always wanted to make sure that everyone else in the room was fine before they assessed her and made sure that she was okay. I know I was not one of the family, but I did feel welcome. See, Vic and Gary have created a legacy. They planted a tree of love, hope, faith, and family. I'm sure that it was not always easy, and the roads were tough as they merged two families together. However, they were able to lean into each other, lean into a place that showed how you can build a family. When I met with a family recently, we talked about what was the thing that kind of stood out the most about the family. And what stood out the most and was shared by multiple people was this: that Vic and Gary loved each other first. They took care of each other first. They made sure that they loved each other first and were there for each other first. And out from that, they were able to show love for their kids and their family. And the children shared then that was a legacy that they have taken into their own lives, that first and foremost, they need to love each other as parents. That they need to love each other as husband and wife, in order then to pass that on to their children, to be able to create the legacy that they wanted for their family. She was tough when she had to be, but she was also vulnerable when she had to be as well. In one of our final times we spent together, I asked her, I said, "What do you want me to share? What would you like me to share with the people as I stand in front of everyone of your service?" Here it is. You ready? To the grandkids, she loves you all so much, and she was so proud of you. To the kids, she loved and cared for you. She was so proud of where you have become, what you have done, and what you will make of the rest of your life. To Gary, the love of her life, she loves you so much. Thank you for caring for her and loving her. She was so happy the two of you found each other. Lastly, I want to encourage you all here for something. There will be times of sadness. There will be times of laughter. There will be times when you need to be alone and be away from everyone else. But as people, as we grieve, we often want to turn away and lean away from our grief. lean away from our pain and our hurt and our sorrow. But I want to encourage you at these times when the sadness is there, when the tears are there, I want to encourage you to lean into it. Be present in those moments and allow those moments to be with you. Do not try to protect yourself by digging deeper and pushing it away. Do not shut out your grief. Do not shut out those that care for you the most. This is the process that's going to make it more bearable down the road. You have a legacy to carry from here forward. Vic and Gary have really created a legacy of love and family. And it would do an honor for Vic's name and what she has done to carry that legacy forward to your family, to your friends, to the people you're around, to the people that you get to meet with on a daily basis. For myself and the hospice team, thank you, Gary. Thank you, family, for allowing us to be able to come into your home as a stranger, to be able to care for you, to care for your family in a way that is very vulnerable. It was an honor. It was a privilege. It is something that we as a team and me as a chaplain do not take lightly. It is a privilege we take very seriously.
everyone. My name is Charlie Rose, grandson of Vicky. She wanted me to read from the book of Psalms, chapter 18, verse 2. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my stronghold in whom I take refuge, my shield, the glory of my salvation, and my high tower. Book of Psalm, chapter 18, verse 2.
Her obituary reads, Victoria Marie Oxenford, VanEngelenburg, 68 years young, surrounded by her family, gained her angel wings. After a long, courageous battle with breast cancer, December 18th, 2017. Vicki was born in 1949 to Donald and Carol Oxenford of Urbandale, Iowa, the oldest of 6 kids. Vicki was a graduate of Urbandale High School, class of 1967. Following graduation, she worked at Broadlawn's family practice with Dr. Lauren Parker until she met the love of her life, Gary VanEngelenburg of Sumner, Iowa. Vicki and Gary began their family together in Sumner, where the two were inseparable, building a life and business together. They moved to the Des Moines area in 1999, where they owned and operated the Iowa Veterinary Acupuncture Clinic until they retired in 2011. The two enjoyed traveling and were full-time RVers, where they met countless new friends. She loved her family, her grandchildren. She enjoyed traveling and her Canada fishing trips with Gary. Vicki was full of life, caring, compassionate, and never met a stranger. She celebrated every moment and lived life to the fullest. She established Camp Whoopus for her grandchildren, where she transcended the importance of togetherness, values, and love. She spent countless hours making quilts for the Citrus County Hospice in Crystal River, Florida, where she also volunteered. She's preceded in death by her father, Donald Oxenford, her brother, Daniel Noah, her sister-in-law, Patricia Oxenford. She is survived by her mother, Carol, her husband, Gary, her 6 children, Tina, and her husband, Todd Huerman of Pleasant Hill, Tony Rose of Des Moines, myself, my wife, Carrie, Norwalk, Jennifer, her husband, Brian Wiedemeyer of Palo, Tony, his wife, Ann, VanEngelenburg of Sumner, and Nikki and her husband, Zach Smith of Polk City. Her 15 grandchildren, Cole, Case, his wife Paige and baby, and Calix Huerman, Charles Patrick, Anthony Jack, Dorothy, Victoria, Rose, Cassie and Joey Rose, Callan, Cody, and Ty VanEngelenburg, Abby Wiedemeyer, Remington, Ellie, and baby Smith, her siblings Toby and her husband Dean Towers, her brother Bruce, his wife Linda Oxenford, Jay Oxenford, Martha Noah, Nancy and her husband Rob Cornelio, and numerous nieces, nephews, and cousins. Good morning. My family and I would like to thank you for your presence today to help celebrate the life of my mother. We're terribly sad to be here today, but grateful the pain and suffering is finally over. Because I am her favorite, I was chosen to give the eulogy today. Vicky, or Vic as we called her, was born Victoria Marie Oxenford to Donald Laverne and Carol Marie Oxenford. She was the oldest of 6 kids. And she had all the traits of the firstborn. She was responsible, she was structured, controlling, take charge attitude, and was an achiever. Stories from her childhood include Vic being the neat one, the responsible one, throwing shoes at her sisters when they were to be asleep. Even as a kid, she made her bed. Tuck and pull, Jen. Tuck and pull. When she applied discipline, it was quick and swift. I can witness to this. As a kid, I thought my mom owned stock in a wooden spoon company. She had to replace them on what seemed like a weekly basis. She never held a grudge. Once the punishment was handed out, that was it. Except for the time she grounded us for a solid week during the summer. We sent her flowers, and we didn't have to serve out the mandated sentence. She was a sucker for flowers. As a great friend of Vic said, they stumbled through their 20s and 30s but learned life lessons along the way. Vic was always determined in anything she put her mind to. Vic met Doc, and it was love at first sight. They met on a Saturday, and by Sunday afternoon, Vic looked at Doc and asked if he believed in love at first sight. To which he replied, "Not until now." They would merge the two families into one, just one kid shy of the Brady Bunch, until along came Nikki to complete our family. 3 boys and 3 girls. With structure comes tradition. Vic loved traditions. Family weekends were a requirement, and it was expected that you be there for the entire weekend. These weekends were very organized with food lists, lots of games, time in the shop, shooting the breeze, and lots of love. Vic loved these weekends and wanted to spend every minute with us. We would always tease her that we were going to the casino, but she wasn't having it. Christmas was her favorite holiday. Every Christmas, she would buy matching Christmas pajamas for everyone. She loved buying gifts for us, to the tune of boxes upon boxes of wrapped presents for each. She would even surprise Gary with a number of gifts she had cleverly hidden throughout the entire house. Christmas bingo was a favorite tradition with the grandkids. This game would last for hours, and Vic had so many gifts for the prize winner. We didn't know who liked the game the most, the grandkids or Grandma. This brought her joy to be in charge of calling the bingo cards and watching her grandchildren all together, all around the same table, all with her. Another tradition of Vic's was popcorn balls. No one makes a popcorn ball quite like Vic. There was a family contest of who ate the most and who got screwed. TJ always got screwed. And Vic would always laugh, poor TJ. When I think of my mom, 4 L's come to mind: lists, love, laughter, and loyalty. She never had an issue that she couldn't accomplish or solve. She made lists for everything. She made shopping lists, to-do lists, vacation lists of items to take, usually months way in advance. She had a bucket list, and she had her honey-do list. The honey-do list was a never-ending list, and because she made the list, she could always say, "Look what we have done," even though all the work was probably done by Doc. Even on her final days, she had a tablet titled "Damn Important Things to Do," where she lists out the things needed to be done. This would include the build the casket, the floral arrangements, the songs to be included today. She was definitely a planner, the traits of the oldest, maybe a little controlling. Love. She had a genuine love for people and for her family. She loved to be organized, and she loved for other people's houses to be organized. When I first got married, Vic and Doc came to Tennessee to visit. By the time they left, we had a kitchen makeover and all our dishes put in the correct cupboards. Talking with my brothers and sisters, Vic had a chance to organize their kitchens as well. She demonstrated her love by helping us all. She wasn't afraid to share her opinion on how things should be organized. For example, spices should go by the stove, Tupperwares should be organized properly with their lids. Her love for her grandchildren was evident in the planning and preparation for the annual Camp Lupus get-together. She loved having her kids, as she would call them, get together each year for a week in the summer so she could spoil them. Planning day trips, bonfires, cookouts, fishing, swimming, creating chore charts, more or less. She's creating lifelong memories. I think she enjoyed this week just as much as the grandkids loved it. Laughter, not in the sense of a comedian, but the environment she created for others. She was full of joy, and everyone that met her could sense that. In every picture that I have, her smile is infectious. She was always a cup half full, never a cup half empty type of lady. And it was never lemons, it was always lemonade. I am sure that is why she has met and stayed in contact with so many new friends during her travels after retirement. She was inviting, caring, compassionate to everyone she met, and a joy to be around. Loyalty. Loyal to her family, to her work, loyal to her husband. She set the example for all of us kids. She was a devoted wife. We knew the kids came second in her marriage, as all marriages should be. When a family member or friend was in crisis, Vic was there to sort through the situation and make a plan to make it better. She would drop everything at a moment's notice to lend her support. From driving cross country to bring a loved one and her children home, to getting an early morning phone call of a death in the family and getting on the road within 30 minutes to lend her support. It didn't matter if it was across town or across country. She was there. She was loyal to her causes. She spent countless hours making quilts and spending time with patients at the Citrus County Hospice in Crystal River, Florida. Who knew the organization she would volunteer her time with would be there for her during her final stages. The past few years have been a roller coaster ride for all of us. Vic, in her own way, her own fashion, took this head on like she has with all things in her life. She would only share the bare minimum of information and spare the details or the sadness. She was a protector to her family and would never want anyone to worry about issues in her life. She always put others' needs before her own. In the final stages, VJ, stands for Vic Jr., or Tina, helped Mom continue her list and ensure every item was taken care of. Gary's suit to the dry cleaner, type of casket and who would build it, songs to be played, type of floral arrangement and spray, saying goodbye to her friends and family. VJ, Vic Jr., has done a tremendous job. Making her list, checking it twice to ensure every wish has been fulfilled. Tony, the event planner, the gourmet chef, he took charge of organizing, completing Vic's bucket list of things to do and things to eat, tailgating at Iowa and Iowa State with her kids and making meals that she had on her list of meals. Vic loved the smell coming from the kitchen when Tony cooks and loved the noise. As Vic puts it, he was always been my loud one. The last several months, you can imagine, has been very hard on the family. We're very blessed to have this time with her. We have a large family, and every day there would be someone or everyone at the house. Grandma never missed a day of being with her daughter during the final weeks. In the end, she passed peacefully, surrounded by family, as she took her last breath, just as she had planned it. I can only imagine the words spoke to her as she entered the pearly gates. Well done, my child. Well done. Rejoice with your father until we see each other again. Love you.
I'm kind of a mic person, so I'm going to take that right off there. My name's Tina. I'm the firstborn, not the oldest. There's a typo in your program, and I need you to correct that and change that 50 to 29. It's on the back page. We wanted to take a time. We'll pass the mic around if anyone would like to say anything, share a funny story about Mom. My brother Pat, you left out a very important child, not the favorite, of course, because she's up here. But you are an amazing leader for our family in this generation. We call Pat the Bruce of our generation because Bruce is the rock for the aunts and uncles. He touched briefly on the flowers. So the flowers that we sent Mom were carnations, and we did them in our birthstones with a card that said, "To Mom, we love you, your 3 little kittens." And at that time, all you had to do was call the florist, and then we sent Mom the bill. So while we were out picking out her specifically designed arrangements for the funeral, I decided to go ahead and get 6 carnations in our birthstone colors and sent the bill to Gary. So you're welcome. So here's a funny story. So with the past 7 weeks, I basically have lived with Mom and Gary and took care of them. I would go home and fall into my husband's arms on rare occasions and just crumble. One day we were out shopping, and on her bucket list, we had to go and pick out a funeral home that was going to handle her service. A lot of fun. We walked into Brooke's funeral home. I pushed her in her wheelchair, and she's like, "Tina, I have got to pee." And I said, "Okay." So I got her into the bathroom. She's like, "You need to hurry. You need to hurry." Part of this journey, the radiation and the tumor that was on her hip had destroyed her colon, and she was on a colostomy bag. A part of the journey that I did not want to touch at all in helping her. That was Gary's job. In pulling her pants down, I ripped the entire colostomy bag off of her stomach. And when I got into her purse to get the backup colostomy bag, there was no suction disc or whatever it is that you attach the colostomy bag to. So here I have this colostomy bag, nothing to adhere it to, so I went out to the receptionist and I asked if she had any duct tape. So I get home and I hand Mom off to Gary. I said, "She needs to go into the bathroom and have her bag changed. By the way, it's duct taped to her stomach." She thought it was pretty funny, and if it wasn't so ugly, she wanted to have a picture taken of it because she thought it was hilarious. But there's so many stories like that we can share about her strength, her dignity, her grace. She's become a worldwide part of people's hearts. This story has captured people in ways that we never imagined. People from across the country and the world have reached out to me and said, "I haven't talked to my mom in 6 months. I called her today because of your story." There's just so many amazing, amazing things that have come from this. While it's a huge loss and an emptiness in our life, she's touched many. And I hope that you continue to share that love and put the importance of family above all else. So if anyone else has a funny story, I know you can't top the duct tape colostomy bag one, but if anyone else would like to say something, I'll bring you the mic. And if not, that's okay. Hands.
So a few weeks ago, my mom and I were sitting at the dining room table with my sweet grandma, just asking her to tell us stories about anything and everything, just to hear her talk, And my mom asked her to share a story about me. And she begins to tell the story of one time how my cousins and I were playing hide-and-go-seek tag in her basement. And I was being chased, and in an attempt to get away faster, I pulled the Daisy Duke move and slid across her dining room table, broke it. She was so mad that she spent 3 hours on her lawnmower. The funny thing is, I'm the well-behaved one, and that's the story that she wanted to share about me. Anybody else like to share?
I shared this with Vic, a couple weeks ago, but my kids said that I should share it again. So one of my first, most precious memories of Aunt Vicky is before Chad and I were even married, she invited us to their Christmas up in the house in Sumner. And it was amazing. I grew up in Iowa with no family. All of our family's from New York. And so to come and see everyone come together and have so much fun was amazing, and I loved it. But the most special memory was sorry. Everybody had opened their presents, and it was really cool because Vic had bought Chad and I presents too. But Vicki and Gary had surprised each other by refinishing an old rocking chair. Different rocking chairs. They didn't know about it. And so I just remember the joy in both of their eyes that Christmas morning that Vic surprised Gary with an antique rocking chair, and Gary surprised Vic with a different rocking chair, but they had the exact same idea to surprise each other. And I remember that's, what true love is. You know what your spouse wants. And to surprise them with the exact same present, it was really cool.
But if anyone tells me to stand up, I'm going to be really mad, okay? Because I am standing up. Okay, everybody's talked about how wonderful Vicki is, and she truly is. She's one of my favorite people on this earth and will be again in heaven. And I've promised her that I will look out after all of these beautiful kids. But I am Tina's mother-in-law. And so we share the same grandchildren. And when Case was born, we were all in the same room together. And we were so excited. This was her first. It wasn't my first, but I was just as excited as she was. And we spent hours there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And right after Case was born, she took the baby out of its sleep area, held it up, told me how much she loved this child, and she said, "This is my grandchild. You get your own." Well, it took me years to forgive her for that. But we became very, very good friends, and I wouldn't have wanted to share my grandchildren with anybody else on this earth.
Anyone else? Dottie. What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
I like her from Mickey.
There was one more that was asked to be shared that was sent to me by Tina, and it's from one of the grandsons. And it says this: "Today I have had trouble finding the words to say about Grandma. Nothing seems to describe just how amazing she was. The words that could be used to describe her would be loving, generous, caring, kind, strong, stubborn, so on and so forth. But theirs don't do her any justice. My grandma, VanEngelenburg, was a real-life superhero. It seems that nothing could faze her, not even cancer. She fought and persisted and championed this disease for years. Only recently could you tell that it was taking its toll on her. But even through the final weeks, she showed strength and courage, defied odds, and didn't leave without cementing her legacy as a person who did not give up. My grandmother taught me so many things about life, how to handle the ups and downs, the importance of family and friends, working hard to get what you want, as well as many, many more. The world lost a beautiful soul. This awful disease has taken another person from my life who simply did not deserve the pain that they went through. I am thankful for my life and the fact that I was able to be influenced by someone who is so morally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally beautiful. Grandma, you will forever be with me. I will never forget all the memories that made through my childhood and in my adult life. From being out in the house, the Sumner house, the massive bonfires, spending a lot of my teenage years at the Winterset house riding dirt bikes, shooting, moving you to Indianola, visiting you whenever you are back from traveling the country. I love you so much, Grandma, and I'm going to miss you very much.
in true Tina fashion, it's a little bit out of order. Can I get the grandkids to come up front, please? Case and Charlie, I'm going to need you. Oh, yeah. AJ and Case. This tree was designed by Mother. Christmas was her season, and she wanted to make sure that the kids had something special. Each of the grandkids have a white rose. One day on our many shopping trips, she picked out these ornaments for each of her grandchildren so they can hang them on their tree. And every time the bell rings, it's a kiss from Grandma. Do you guys want to come get your ornaments? There you go. You can help pass those out. On another shopping trip, she picked out a personalized ornament for each of us. Mine is a Santa pushing a Hobby Lobby shopping cart. Sometimes Gary would cringe when we would get back from those trips. Go ahead, go grab your ornaments, guys. And if there's too many, we'll there's not too many. There's just a couple not here. Okay, the red rose and the Santa on that tree was for my grandchild, which would have been the first grade. This ornament says love to run. That's for Anne. I don't know why anybody would want to run, but she does. This one's Bird Nerd. Carrie? Charlie? Oh, no, AJ, I still need you, bud. This one here is a nurse, although we're not allowed to tell people that Jen's a nurse, so we introduce her as our Walmart greeter, because evidently nurses don't like to have other nurses in the room. Jen. So she's our Walmart greeter. During the stay in the hospital, Mom was adamant that there was going to be a bedroom built by noon if she had to crawl her ass home herself to build it. Tony ended up making that dream come true. There's a handyman. Zach is one of our mighty hunters in the family. And I can't get this one. And then get Pat's. This is stuck. There we go. Pat is our military man. We thank you for your service. Another handyman in the family is my husband, Todd. And then Nikki, although she has to limit the intake of this, she is quite the fan of coffee. So Mom thought of coffee when we were at Nikki's name for choosing an ornament. That is it. Betty and Debbie, I have one for you. The Santas belong to the aunts and uncles. Thank you.
And as you go today, there's a meal that the family would like you to stick around and stay and enjoy. So as you go, you can follow the family out and have your conversations with them there. And I'm just going to pray over the meal before we go. Father, I ask you to be with the meal, be with the conversations. Thank you for the gathering today.